flip-flops on, singing to that highway song. Got a little naive smile, the kind that drives you wild. Nothing like playing with fire, brings the boy to life. Be with the fuse you light, you're good, you're dynamite. You made my day when you walked and sat down beside me, whispered with your eyes, let's go. You made me say, what's your name, girl, you're lonely. Can I call you if I ever go down this road? And I can't seem to find the thing I want to say. Girl, you made my day.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
14:20 in the morning, 14 minutes and 20 seconds where the sports talk to get you through your daily commute. Hot takes, recaps, best bets, and a little humor to get your day going in the right direction. Sit back, grab your coffee, and let's get into it. All right, 14:20 in the morning for this 6th day of April 2023. Today's show, as always, brought to you by our new friends at Caldera Lab. Use promo code 1420lab for 20% off men's skincare products. Forget that youthful exuberance back in your mug at Caldera Labs today. And use the promo code. It helps support the show as well. Thanks for making us a part of your day each and every day here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live and everywhere else. And then later on when you listen to the show. Also, I want to thank last night I was a guest on Aaron Riley's show, the Brutally Honest Sports Bar or Brutally Honest Sports podcast. It's not everything's on a sports bar, right? Brutally Honest Sports podcast. We had a great talk about baseball last night. It'll be up later on today, so make sure you guys give that one a listen. I'll post it on the links everywhere else to make sure you guys tune into that one as well, because it's a lot of fun for sure. Talking with Aaron, he's a baseball guy through and through. We got some good news here at 1420 World Headquarters yesterday. We're number 2 on the Belly Up network of shows right now. I wish we were number 1, but every journey begins with a single step. So thank you very much to the Belly Up network for having us a part of their group, and for everybody who's been listening to our show to make us number 2 on the network. And we're a little bit behind number 1, but we'll keep putting the hits out there. And as long as you guys keep listening and sharing with people like we hope you are on a daily basis, maybe we'll climb the ranks number 1 before summer's up. Anyways, we are basically a week ago today was opening day. I was gushing like a grade 9 girl a little bit about opening day, but it happened now. A weekend, every team has played basically 2 series now. The Yankees are rained out today. They're playing tomorrow in Baltimore. There's no game today, so I'm taking a little break from the playback streaming thing, which is going okay, but I want to also get that a little bit better. But anyways, we're a week into the pitch clock violations, the pitch clock going on, and it's going okay. I think it's having the desired effect that baseball fans, air quotes, fans wanted, that the games are a little quicker. Some are still lengthy. There's no getting around that. I mean, the Jays opening day game was a long game, but it was almost 4 hours long with lots of hits and everything else. And you can't change the clock on that one. But you're a week into the pitch clock rules being into effect and everything else, and I think it has the desired effect for people who wanted to speed up the game. But there's still some kinks to work out with everybody and different ways of happening. Manny Machado, of course, it was Manny Machado, the very first guy to be ejected for trying to fight Father Time. Nobody has ever beat Father Time, so I don't know why Manny Machado, the god that he thinks he is, thought he could fight Father Time. It didn't work out too well for him, so he found himself ejected, because that's actually a rule in baseball that you can't actually argue balls and strikes. That's a ejectable penalty, I guess, an ejectable response to a arguing balls and strikes. That's before the pitch clock violation, everything else. But Machado found himself on the wrong side of the clock and got himself ejected. Yesterday, Shohei Ohtani will become the first and only player, I think, in Major League Baseball history who will get 2 pitch clock violations, 1 pitching and 1 hitting in the same game. I don't think you'll ever see that happen again, unless it's Ohtani, or maybe if a position player ends up as a pitcher at some point in a blow-up. He'll be the only guy in history. But when you looked at his his response to it when the inning was over. He got the umpire down. They started talking with the interpreter, saying what went right, what went wrong, why he was called on it, and there was a hands and what the movement that didn't start. So there still seems to be a bit of a problem with people not understanding what the pitch clock violations are, and guys are just stuck in their ways and how the game's been played for 150 years, and these guys have been playing it for so long. And a lot of the college guys they get it because they've been playing it a little bit longer, but there is still some kinks to work out with the pitch clock. Do I like it? It's not bad. Does it make the game a little too quick at times? Is it rushed? Yeah, but we don't want to beat that up a whole bunch because that's going to be a topic of conversation for a long time. But I was doing some research today or last night, sorry, for today's 14:20 in the morning, and it kind of made me laugh a little bit. 31 years ago today, so you guys know who listens to 14:20 in the morning. I do on this day bit for every day in the world of sports. And the funny thing is 31 years ago today, I'm kind of ruining the surprise for the end of the show. But 31 years ago today, the Baltimore Orioles played their very first game in Camden Yards in Baltimore in a game that lasted only 2 hours and 2 minutes. And the thing is that, and I won't give the rest of it away. The thing was, the game was, like I said, it was done in 2 hours and 2 minutes. But the biggest thing was there was only, I think, 10 strikeouts the entire game. Now, people who watch baseball, and I think it's just simple math the way this goes, strikeouts take a little bit longer than ground balls or pop-ups. And yes, strikeouts can be exciting, I guess, but they do take a little bit longer because there could be more pitches. Are strikeouts ever 3 pitches? Good morning, good afternoon, and good night? Very rarely does that happen in the world of baseball. There's a ball or a foul ball or whatever it might be, and those take a little bit longer to happen. So, and ground balls can happen on the first pitch, the second pitch, or the third pitch, or on the fifth pitch, whatever it may be. So that's one thing that these baseball people who are thinking that the game needs to speed up, that they don't realize that strikeouts are up at a rate that we've never seen before in the game of baseball. And every game, like I said, the Yankees opening day game, they had 32 strikeouts in that baseball game with the San Francisco Giants. So that means that there's more pitches. So that means that the games take a lot longer. And that's one of the reasons why the games are taking longer and why the need for the pitch clock might not have been a need, but it's because pitchers throw 102 miles an hour and hitters just can't get it. And hitting's hard, and it's the all or nothing analytics approach that can make games a little bit longer, and not moving runners over and just going all or nothing. That can make the game a little bit longer because pitchers are throwing more pitches than they ever have before. You aren't getting the ground ball outs. You aren't getting the pop-ups. You're getting more and more strikeouts. You're not getting as many opportunities for guys to get out. Like I said, there's a situation that you have on a daily basis where you're getting upwards of 20 strikeouts per game. That is 60 pitches right there without any balls. And that adds to the length of games. The pitch clock, yes, it's going to be needed because the all or nothing analytics approach isn't going away. That isn't changing. I don't like it. That's the one thing I don't like about baseball compared to what it was 30 years ago. Get up, old man sitting on the porch, get off my lawn guy. But the thing is that baseball isn't as strategic as it used to be, and that's making the games longer. It's just that's just the way it is. And strikeouts happen more. There's more pitches, there's more walks, and everything else. Instead of putting the ball in play, moving a runner up, ground ball outs, butting a guy over, getting the out. I get it that getting 3 base hits in a row can be tough, and that's how most runs were scored back in the 80s, 90s, and before. But now it's a home run approach, and go for it and swing. More pitches, that means longer games. And why that wasn't really looked at, and why this isn't a Brent original. I hope I'm not the only one who's thought about this, because that's something that I saw yesterday. Like I said, I was doing the research for the 14:20 in the morning, that there was a baseball game that happened 31 years ago to the day that took 2 hours and 2 minutes by 2 guys who weren't known as overpowering pitches. So you get guys that over and over looking for strikeouts, and guys out of the box. Yeah, no more Garcia Parra. He was the poster boy for being out of the box. But now you have guys in the box, but games are basically taking not a whole bunch. They're not a whole bunch shorter. You're not getting less pitches. You're getting less downtime in a baseball game. You're not getting less baseball. And that's the thing. So you wonder what that game would have been like that was 2 hours and 2 minutes X amount of years ago, that you wonder what, without the other extracurricular stuff, how quick that game might have been. A few years back, I was umpiring a WCBL game. Yes, there isn't the commercial breaks in between, and I get it, but it's a different thing. But there was a game that we got done 1 hour and 48 minutes in Brooks, Alberta, between the Brooks Bombers and the Fort McMurray Giants. Yeah, it's a lower level of baseball, college wood bat baseball, but the game was done in 1:48. Why? Lots of strikes, lots of ground ball outs, and then we were in, out, see you later, and pitchers were just getting out. They weren't walking guys, and that's the biggest thing. Is the ball was put in play, and Brooks, it was odd that it wasn't a higher scoring game because they played a little bit of a bandbox there, but so it's a lot of home runs get hit in Brooks. But it was a lot of balls got put in play, a lot of ground first, second pitch strikes that guys were putting the ball in play, a lot of outs, and that's where baseball has gone wrong a little bit with the all or nothing approach, and that has lengthened the games and all the strikeouts. I don't know. It's just one of those things that you watch, and as a baseball purist, I guess you notice that it's not the game itself that's broken. It's the way the game that it's played, it's broken, and so that makes things a little bit different, and that's part of the problem. And it has nothing to do with the time or pace of play. It's all of the strikeouts and the lack of action because of strikeouts. Because strikeouts can get a bit boring unless it's your team striking out a guy on a big stage in a big moment. So that's kind of one of those things that you look at that maybe these guys should have looked at a little bit. But the pace of play isn't the problem. It's the amount of strikeouts, and that's what it's just simple math, kids. More pitches means more time, and that's the way it is. Anyways, I want to touch on this for half a second before we move on to the on this day and the birthdays. It was 5 years ago today that the Humboldt Broncos bus tragedy happened in Saskatchewan Junior Hockey League team. For those of you who don't know, who are listeners from the south of the border who may not have heard about this, if you ever played junior hockey or hockey in general, you rode the buses around Saskatchewan, Alberta, Ontario, wherever, right across this country bars. We've all been on those buses, and you go up those 3 lonely steps, and then you're on the bus, and you travel those buses a lot in between communities, and it was a heartbreaking day 5 years ago, and yeah. Stick taps to those boys up in heaven right now, because that was a tough day. And you remember, like when the tragedy happened, and then they said who passed away on that bus on that fateful day. You know exactly where everybody was sitting. It was a tough day through and through, and it still chokes me up a little bit. But yeah, Darcy Hogan was a friend of mine. He was the coach of the Humboldt Broncos, and yeah, it was a terrible tragedy that happened, and the way it all came about, and it's just it's crazy. And here in Lethbridge, Logan Boulay, the Logan Boulay Arena now, he was the poster boy for organ donations and the like. So sign your organ donor card and everything else, because yeah, it was something good came out of that tragedy. It was a tough day right across the country for junior hockey, and it was a terrible day. And when that came across the airwaves, it was really hard to comprehend what happened, and the way the hockey world stopped that day was something else. But anyways, on to some happier talk. But like I said, stick taps those guys today, and put some time and thought into their lives and everything else that's been going on. And before you put your kids on those buses, just give them a hug before, because you never know if they're going to come back or not. But anyways, on this day like I said earlier on, in 1992, the Baltimore Orioles beat the Cleveland Indians 2-0 in the first regular season game at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Rick Sutcliffe pitched a complete game, 5-hit shutout in a game that took only 2 hours and 2 minutes. Charles Nagy also went the distance for Cleveland, who gave up 6 hits. There was 2 walks in total. Baltimore had 2 strikeouts. Cleveland only had 6. So there you go. So that's maybe why the game didn't take so long. There was only, if you do the math on that, 8 strikeouts, only 24 pitches. Right? Simple. Whereas if you have the 32 strikeout game that the Yankees had, that's 96 pitches. It's just simple math, kids. Put the ball in play, throw strikes, and that's why games take so long now. It's all of the strikeouts. It has nothing to do with the pace of play. It's because of the strikeouts that make the game so long. Anyways, happy birthday to Brett Boone, one of my favorites of all time, actually, who turns 54 today, born on this day in 1969 in El Cajon, California. One reason why he's one of my favorites, he was a Calgary can, and I got to watch him as a kid a few times playing for the Seattle Mariners farm team up there in Calgary at Foothill Stadium. So happy birthday to Brett Boone. He'd go on to play 14 seasons in the big leagues, stops in Seattle, Cincinnati, Atlanta, San Diego, and Minnesota. I forgot about that one. 252 home runs, 1,021 RBIs, a .266 career batting average, 3 All-Star games, and one of my favorite moments about Brett Boone was the 2003 American League Championship Series. He was in the booth for the Yankees Red Sox game. I think he was up there all series long, but he was definitely in the booth for the game that the obviously his brother is Aaron Boone, manager of the Yankees right now, and he was up in the booth, and he was there when Aaron Boone hit that home run off of Tim Wakefield in the 11th inning into the Bronx sky, and they panned over to Brett Boone watching his brother Aaron circle the bases, and just the look of pride that he had in his face. It's one of those brotherly moments that you watch on TV, and what, some of those things why you like sports and why we love sports. Actually, those moments like that really bring things around, and you just love it. You love those moments. I'm kind of getting a little choked up about that too. I'm a little emotional on this. You're getting my old age. Sometimes you're a little bit more emotional than you should. Anyways, thank you to Caldera Labs. For those who are watching on YouTube, the clean slate facial wash, bring that youthful exuberance back in your face. And then later on, you put on the base layer to get things going and get everything feeling smooth and silky like they're supposed to, and get everything back shaped back up where it's supposed to be. So there's those from our friends from Caldera Lab. Thank you very much. And promo code 1420LAB for 20% off. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to the show. I got a phone call from a friend of mine yesterday, James Shaky McPhail. They're starting their podcast back up, the S&M Pubcast. We're gonna have a little refresher course on how to do this. He gave me a call for some tips and pointers and how things have changed in the podcast world since they've been on the show. They got hit by the COVID bug, but they're going to get her back up and going again. So, anyways, thank you very much for listening to the show today. We always appreciate everybody who listens. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the little guy says up there, and enjoy the shows. Download a few of our shows today. Spread the good word of the 1420 podcast. We appreciate it very much on a daily basis. Also, there was something else I had to bring up today. I'll bring it up again. Stick Taps, the Humboldt Broncos, and remember those guys who passed away on this fateful day 5 years ago. It's still a tough moment. Anyways, remember, it doesn't matter where you are, everybody. It's who you're with. Have a good day, folks, and me and Dave will be talking to you later on tonight. You just listened to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. We are part of the Belly Up Media Network.